I hope you've been enjoying talking books and stuff. Please support us on Patreon to help cover our costs. Please click on the Patreon links, or you can visit our GoFundMe page. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to Talking Books and Stuff, the program that talks all about books and writing and stuff. Here's your host, Dennis Rimmer.
Hello again, welcome back. This is Talking Books and Writing and Stuff. And today with us from out on the west coast of Canada, in the greater Vancouver area, let's say, Ray McGinnis is with us. Ray and I have never met, but I stumbled across a site he has. It's Vancouver Signature Sounds. So I'll just let Ray jump right in here. Hello, Ray. Sure, let's go right to the chase. What is Vancouver Signature Sounds?
Yeah, hi Dennis. It's Vancouver Signature Sounds is a website I started in the fall of 2016 after having seen in a locker room I have in my apartment building. I had all of these old weekly record surveys from CKLG and CFUN that I'd kept from the age of 7, and I had them like from '64, late '64 up until mid '93, and I thought I should really do something with these. So I started. I had listened to the American Top 40 on Billboard out of Seattle radio station I could get in Vancouver, and
right.
I knew that we didn't always have the same music, especially the same positions, even if we had the same song sometimes. So I started to be curious about what were the songs that did much better on the Vancouver pop charts than in the States.
So that's an interesting angle, because there are some songs, even some I saw on earlier, I'll call them editions of Vancouver Signature Sounds, and one especially that comes to mind is a Kenny Lyons song about scratch a tin god and you'll find a fallen idol, and apparently that was not a hit anywhere but Vancouver.
Yeah, that was a really big hit, and in fact, such a big hit that I will be reviewing it as I get closer to my number one, because it was, there's still another 520 odd songs yet to review, and there were quite a number of number one hits in Vancouver that were not hits anywhere else, or just in a few record markets elsewhere in Canada and the States, and otherwise never to be heard on homogenous oldies radio.
Yeah, which is nothing but a couple of KTEL records played back to back. So Ray McGinnis is with us today here on Talking Books. We were talking about writing, songs, records. He has a site called Vancouver Signature Sounds you can easily access. So let's go back a bit. Ray, what was your early life like? Did you read and write a lot as a child?
I got my parents and grandparents were giving me books, from nursery rhymes to Winnie the Pooh and other things. So I certainly was being read to and started reading, at a fairly early age. And I remember one time, I think in grade 3, I even wrote a short little play about pirates that my teacher liked, and so the other grade 3 class came in and saw us produce it. But I never went on to become, involved in the world of plays and theater. But clearly had some kind of an interest in writing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you said your parents were musicians. How about yourself? Were you, or are you a musician at all?
I play guitar. And my mom played guitar and piano, and my dad played the accordion, which I've appreciated more recently, but it was a great embarrassment to my brother and I when we were very young, because in the 60s it wasn't cool to play the accordion, even though my dad had grown up playing north of Edmonton in a in a band from the age of in his teens, and now I think it's really cool that he was a farm boy playing the accordion in a country band from the age of 14. But at the time I didn't appreciate it because I was into the Beatles.
Right, at the time it was forgettable, but at least we still have Weird Al to keep the accordion going for us. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, back the project. We're talking with Ray McGinnis here on Talking Books. His project, Vancouver Signature Sounds. So, give us again a rundown about it. What's so special about Vancouver Signature Sounds that we won't find anywhere else?
Well, what I do is I try and I've got this crazy list of what has ended up being 1,300 songs, and all of these songs made the top 20 on the Vancouver pop charts, variously CKWX, CFUN, or CKLG, or CKVN, between 1956 and 1993, in a time period where there used to be more regional pop music hits. For example, it seems that there was a song by Neil Sedaka called Little Devil back in 1961, and it was a hit everywhere.
Yeah, but hey, Little Devil.
Yeah. Which I actually didn't know because I was maybe too young. But in Vancouver, people bought the 45, and they played the B-side, which is I Must Be Dreaming. So they phoned up the DJs and said, "Can you play this B-side?" And it became a hit. And which also became Neil Sedaka also recorded it in German. It was a hit in Germany, the German version of "I Must Be Dreaming." But you don't find that the song wasn't a hit, other places generally. So back then, listeners could phone up and they could have a lot more input into what DJs played, and so there was much more of a local flavor. Which same would be the case in Saskatoon or Regina or other places across the country.
Yeah, I grew up out there in Crescent Beach and White Rock, so I listened to CFUN until we moved back here when I went into grade 10, and then I went back to the coast, ended up working at CFUN, which was really a treat. I'm in junior high listening to Fred Latrimo or Red Robinson or somebody, and then 10 years later I'm writing things for them to say. So it was quite cool in that respect. 1,300 songs is on Vancouver Signature Sounds with Ray McGinnis. He's our guest right here today. So that means you have 1,300 chapters, so to speak?
Yeah. I got about 520 to go. I'll finish it I'll finish this project sometime in 2022. One of the things that got me kind of interested too was as I would sometimes listen to, I lived in Toronto for a while and in the Okanagan Valley, and I'd sometimes listen to, oldies stations, and I would think there's some songs that I remember being hits, at least they were hits in my mind back in Vancouver, that I just didn't hear.
Exactly.
And so then I went back, when I got this little box of with the old record surveys, I'd look and think, yeah, that was a hit. That was number 3 or number 1 or number 8. And then it was just a surprise to me because I used to think that, what I was hearing, Shirley, like for example, Shirley Michelle by the Beatles was a big hit in the States.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't at all. It's a big hit in Vancouver. It was a big hit in Europe. It got a Grammy Award, but it wasn't it wasn't listed on the AM top 40 charts in the States.
Ah.
So or I Feel Free by Cream, or Dead End Street by the Kinks, or even things like Rock Lobster by the B-52s, which was a minor top 100 hit in the States, but a big hit in Vancouver, or Message in a Bottle by the Police.
Whoa, okay. I thought those were just massive hits everywhere, but
yeah.
So how do you find out all your information? You got a stack of surveys, and then what do you do?
So then what I do is I have to go week by week and look at the positions on the chart, in the chart run of a given song, And then I have a point total, which there's a guy called Brian Tarling who has a website called VancouverChartedSongs.ca, I think, and he has put out several books on all the songs that made the weekly pop charts in Vancouver from 56 to 78, which I used extensively. And I also was in touch with him about some songs. And then he has another book coming out from 78 to 93, which isn't published yet. But I used him a lot to sort of help me with some of the early data before from 56 to 64, which I didn't have a lot of. And then I also there's a website called Vancouver Top 40 Radio, which I was able to look at the weekly charts without having to thumb through them from 58 to 1970. That helped me quickly look at. So once I got the song totals, then I'd have to compare how well the song did on the Billboard Hot 100. And if it basically did like 5 times better. It was number 5 in Vancouver. It couldn't do any better than number 25 in the States.
And so you have sort of a guideline for yourself when you're doing this.
Yeah. Because I didn't want to be reviewing songs that was like it's number 3 here and number 8 in the States, because that's not enough of a variance. Plus, I'd be writing, 5,000 song reviews. So I wanted to write more about the songs that if you happen to be talking to someone who was born in Boston or St. Louis or Chicago or Los Angeles, they might say to a Vancouverite who might say, "Isn't this a great song?" And the person might say, "I've never heard it." So I was trying to find those songs that were bigger hits here, and so now half of the songs I'm reviewing were not on the Billboard Hot 100 at all.
Yeah, because you have a little thing at the start that says number 7 in Vancouver, let's say, did not make the Billboard Top 100. So
yeah.
And yet a lot of those we would think would be hits, like you said.
Yeah, like "Please, Mr. Postman" by the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
So, which is yet to be reviewed. A huge hit in Vancouver.
I like the Marvelettes version better, but that's just me. But
yeah. I took a number of years to do this. Like, I started working on this in like 2013. It took about 3 years to go through all these weekly charts and compare figure out what the songs would be and compare them to the Billboard Hot 100. And then the task was just to say, okay, now I've got this list, I'm going to have to start doing the song reviews. So that began in October, and what I have to focus on is, sometimes it's a real Easter egg hunt to find anything about a person, because some of these songwriters had one hit, or singers had one hit, and that was it. That's this recording artist. I had one person called Terry Tyler. I'd never heard it. It was called 1,000 Feet Below, and it was one of these teen tragedy songs about a young person dying. And the only thing that came out was I had there was a YouTube thread of chats on a YouTube, and one of the people who'd commented was this guy's granddaughter.
Oh.
So I was able to be in touch with her, and then she told me a lot about him. Oh yeah, he's still writing songs in Nashville. So it is I never know what I'm going to find out about the singer, the performing artist, or sometimes what's really interesting is the musicianship, what they use for instruments, or the songwriter. The songwriter can be quite interesting. I think, wow, this person wrote all these songs, and this was like their final big hit, or it was the beginning of a huge career, and so it's and then there's the topic. I try and write about the topic of the song as well.
Yes, what you do is, this is Ray McGinnis with us here on Talking Books and Writing and Stuff. And so I've noticed, yes, you have sort of a history of the people who did the song, and then sort of what it's all about, and tie it into some sort of like a psychological phenomenon or something. So this must take you quite a while to get out even one listing.
Yeah, it takes at least a couple hours to do most of these reviews. Sometimes more. I mean, and sometimes I'm working on quite a number of different songs at the same time, and I kind of take a run at one of them and write for do some research and get some information in my draft, and then I'll work on another one and complete it. Like when I did there was a song by the Poppy Family, which "What Can the Matter Be" from 1969, and it was the first verse is about sort of racial prejudice, and the next is about air pollution and land use, and the final one is about somebody being put in jail for smoking marijuana. So I was able to kind of write about what was going on with those topics in 1969, and then fast forward to 2018, 19, and talk about how those topics have changed or remain the same.
Ray McGinnis is with us. Vancouver Signature Sounds is the site. Do you have a sort of a set writing schedule for your project?
Yeah, well, I wanted to get a lot of songs up early, so there's enough kind of stuff for people to see. So initially, I was writing about 6 song reviews a week. But now that I'm coming up to, I'll have song number 500 up by the end of October, and then I'm going to slow it down to about 3 a week. This is partly because I have some readers that are saying, we love your reviews, just we don't want to read so many each week. So
all right.
I'm honoring that and just doing 3 a week, after October.
Okay. And have you heard all of these songs? Do you have copies?
I have, yeah, every song I'm reviewing I have heard, although I would say that before I got into this project, there were, I'd say at least, 35% of the songs I'd never heard. Especially some of these, like this song called Red Hot by Billy Riley.
Bill Riley
from 1957.
My galley's red hot, your galley, diddly squat.
Yeah. I got a gal 6'4", sleeps in the kitchen with her feet out the door. So
Billy Lee Riley, that's who it is.
Yeah. That was a big hit in Vancouver, but not in the States. And the reason I found out was because the record company decided to promote Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis and dropped the promotion for Red Hot.
Oh. and then Billy Lee just drifted off into the ozone from there. So
yeah. He became a big thing in Europe, but not so much in North America.
Well, we're jumping all over the place here, but that's what makes it fun. Ray McGinnis is with us, Vancouver Signature Sounds. How do we access that site? I get it by email, but is there another way?
You can just VancouverSignatureSounds.com. You can just go on the website, and people visit, or you can. There's at the bottom of the home page or the top hits page. There's you can sign up for the newsletter and send an email, and then you get to subscribe. And people can also visit, any particular, like all of the songs are listed either by artist or by year. So you can look up 1962 or 1978 or 1989 and look at the songs. And if you're interested in one particular review, you can leave a comment
Wow. Are you going to have a book when this is all done, or is the VancouverSignatureSounds.com the actual finished product, as it were?
That's a good question. I mean, it's fun to have a book. I've always envisioned this. I mean, there might be somebody might pitch, hey Ray, make a book with us, but I've always thought of the fun about this is people could go to a website, and then I can have a link to YouTube, and I can have a link to the lyrics, because there's all kinds of different lyrics websites, and they can quickly hear the song and read the lyrics if they want to, and read the review, so they're kind of up to speed on what even if they have never heard it, they can hear the song. Which would be hard to do on a book unless it was audio.
Yes, unless it was, and it would be even more complicated. So, You grew up in Vancouver, I take it?
I did, and my dad was a dentist, and And because my brother and I were not encouraged to have candy with our weekly allowance when we raked the lawn, the leaves, or swept the driveway, with my weekly allowance from the age of 7, my dad started taking me down to a local record store called Fraser Radio and TV on 41st and Arbutus, and I would, with my weekly allowance, get 145 and the record survey, which was free, but that's what started me on. Otherwise, I might not be doing this. I might have a huge website about candy,
or cavities,
or cavities. Yeah.
Can you remember what the first 45 you bought was?
My first 45 was "Tired of Waiting for You" by the Kinks.
By the Kinks, okay. Which is be 65.
Yeah, 65.
Something like that. I think the first one I ever bought was "Shop Around" by the Miracles. So.
Oh yeah.
Is that going to be on the survey, by the way?
No, "Shop Around" was a big hit in the number one hit in the States, and even a bigger hit than it was in Vancouver. I actually saw Smokey Robinson at the PNE this summer.
Oh.
He's 79 and still pretty good. But,
wow, yes. So maybe I should track him down and interview him, because he's songwriter, record producer, performer. But that would be a great coup for the website. Mine, which is not a website. What is it that I have? Oh, yeah, podcast. Talking Books. Yeah. We're with Ray McGinnis. You grew up in Vancouver. Do you have a favorite radio station or a favorite disc jockey from the old days?
I liked Roy Hennessy. I liked quite a number of them. I liked Stevie Wonder because his name was the same as the pop singer.
Yes.
But Roy Hennessy did the morning show on I think on CKLG.
LG, correct.
And he had this jingle which was "Good morning, how the devil are you? HENNESSY Hennessy. That's my name."
Yes, I think I remember that vaguely.
Yeah. which appealed to me in my 9-year-old imagination.
Well, that's good. Ray, we're probably going to have to wrap it up a bit, so let's tell us again, Vancouver Signature Sounds, how do we access it?
Yeah, so just go to the web, go to vancouversignaturesounds.com, and you can also sign up for the email or the newsletter, and that way you get every time there's a new song review, you can get it in your inbox. As well, you can go to the website and look up the hits by year or by artist. In some cases, I've still got 500 more songs to review. So if there's a song that you think is should be on the chart, it probably will be, but it was too big a hit yet for me to review it. Yeah, that's the way to find out.
That's the way. VancouverSignatureSounds.com. Do you know what the number one song's going to be, or are you going to keep that a secret?
I'll tell you. Yeah, the number one song on the list, which I'll write about in 2022, is "Mean Woman Blues" by Elvis Presley.
Well, okay.
A number one song for 10 weeks in 1957, and I can tell you that I am certain that by the time I was listening to oldies flashback weekends, as they called them, by the mid to late 60s, that song was not being played.
No.
All Shook Up, Hound Dog, Don't Be Cruel, Jailhouse Rock, Are You Lonesome Tonight, Now or Never, all of that. But Mean Woman Blues, which was maybe the biggest hit of the year in 1957 in Vancouver, was not, because it wasn't a hit anywhere else.
And he came to Vancouver at Empire Stadium, I think, and one of my cousins went to see him. So
it was a big deal. Yeah,
it was a big deal. Yes.
Yeah.
Ray McGinnis is with us today here on Talking Books, and I'm your host, Dennis Rimmer, and Ray has a great site. It's called VancouverSignatureSounds.com. 1,300 songs he's going through that were hits mainly in Vancouver, let's call them hits, that weren't so big elsewhere in North America. So if I was you If I was you, what I would do would be go to that site right now, after you finish listening to me, of course. Ray, thank you very much for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome, Dennis. And I'll say one thing is that, I mean, some of the songs were hits elsewhere, but not as big, and especially not in the States. Especially some of the songs like Bobby Curtola, they were hits, probably in, all across the prairies and across the country. But down in the States, Bobby Curtola was never heard from, hardly.
All right, that's Ray McGinnis. Ray, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dennis. Take care.
Thank you for visiting with us today. This is Talking Books and Stuff with Dennis Rimmer. Contact him at dennis@talkingbooks.tk. Thank you, and may all the good news be yours. Oh, and don't forget to check out his book, The Great Canadian Notebook, available across Canada and at amazon.ca.